Q is number 17. President Trump repeats 17 over and over, even when it's inaccurate. He's been giving us hints and clues from day one.
So Donald Trump knows who Q is.
Absolutely.
Why doesn't he come out and tell all of us?
It's a process of waking up the American people.
The allegation is that there are elites and some very powerful people who are involved in child sex trafficking. Do I have that about right?
Yeah.
It's the blood of an innocent child that are scared to death, and then it's extracted from their head, from their brains and their bodies, and it's used as a drug.
And who's doing that?
Joe Biden, Hunter, Clintons.
So the Clintons and Joe Biden that are extracting the blood and trying to make drugs out of it?
That's right.
This is not a parody account. This is not a parody video. This is not SNL. This isn't even Mad TV. This is real folks that really believe this stuff. Shuster asked more questions about this Q stuff. Let's watch more.
If you found the Q drops, and if you would put in Epstein in certain keywords, you will find the truth right there in front of you.
Well, we know that Donald Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
About everybody in the country, in the world was. They would find out. All you had to do was ask, who is Q?
You know who Q is. I don't know who Q is. I don't have my computer here to look at the QAnon drops, the Q drops. So can't you just tell me?
Ask President Trump.
He knows who Q is.
Yes.
That lady there at the end of the first video, if I heard this right, she goes, he, being Donald Trump, repeats number 17, even when it's inaccurate, because he's educating the American people. If it's inaccurate, how is it educating anyone on what Q is? He's wrong. You literally just said what he's talking about is wrong, even when it's inaccurate. This is how people end up surrounding the site where JFK was shot for months, I think, waiting for him to show back up with Princess Diana and JFK Jr. and I don't know who else they're waiting for. There's more. There's other conspiracies that they're pushing through as well. Satanic pedophile rings as well. We already know about people bleeding out of their head and Hillary and Biden. And I forget who else is involved in this. But there's more about satanic pedophile rings. Pedophile rings. More. Let's watch.
I believe that America is being saved through Donald Trump and the military. We have world leaders involved, and they're taking back their rights. It goes back to the Constitution. It goes back to our freedom. It goes back to God. It's biblical, and I believe that we're on the verge of seeing it happen immediately.
So pretty soon we're going to find out who these people are that are drinking the children's blood and turning it into drugs.
It's a satanic ritual, which is why we masked up, stood 6 feet apart. If you start there, you can research and figure it out.
So we stood 6 feet apart not because of COVID, but because of this satanic ritual involving drinking children's blood.
Well, COVID goes back to how they stole the election. It was all premeditated, pre-planned.
6 feet apart is another signal of satanic rituals, Ben. You know what else 6 is? It's the number that LeBron James was wearing when he was in Miami. It's also the number that they're retiring across the NBA because of Bill Russell. He wore number 6. It's satanic is actually what it is, because you can just take 6 anytime you want and just say, oh, that's evil. Did you know that Bill Russell was Satan?
Look, all I can say about this 17 is that there's a truth out here, 17. And if we don't listen closely for the clues, put them together, 17, there's no way we're ever gonna find out the truth about, the number 17 and its great power. This is mass psychosis on a national scale. It is so disturbing to see all of these people that are just convinced into something that doesn't even make logical sense. They know the exact details of what's happening, but also they say you have to decode it. But also they'll tell you exactly what's happening, but also you gotta follow the codes and wake up. But also here's exactly what the story is and who's perpetrating it. But what's the final answer? Who's Q? Ask Donald Trump. Like, it's very easy to get a hold of the former president and ask him instead of the idiot at the outdoor rally that might be able to answer the question directly. I'll tell you my theory of who Q is, and I think it's probably the only candidate that makes sense here. Let's think, who would create a theory where all of the Democrats are evil, baby drinking Satanists, and the only person who's trying to save the planet and is the savior of humanity is Donald Trump. I wonder if that's a theory that could have been created by the narcissist of all narcissists, Donald Trump. I'm gonna create a theory where I save the world and I'll never admit it, and people will wonder who Q is, but it's me, you get it? I'm the greatest of all time. Donald Trump is Q, but Q is not a thing or a good thing. It's literally yet another level in the narcissism of the moronic Donald Trump. And he's now going full Q on Truth Social. He is posting, 100%. Like we saw in that video, a photo of him was saying the storm is coming with a Q pin on his lapel. He's no longer hiding. If you remember, while he was president, he was asked directly many times, do you support QAnon? I don't know anything about this. I barely know anything about it, okay? I've heard about them, and now he's just straight up like, oh, retruth it, retruth it. The irony and the insane reverse language of the fact that now in our world, a platform called Truth, and you retruth something, aside from the clunky verbiage of that, is just so up is down, left is right. Dogs and cats in the streets making love to each other. The world has gone completely bonkers.
This is one of those things. There's religions that like to ask you, have you heard the good news? Except this one doesn't really have the answer. Imagine someone knocking on your door. Hey, I'd like to talk to you, neighbor. Have you heard the good news? And like, no, what is it? I don't know, ask Donald Trump.
Every time Donald Trump has, exactly. Every time Donald Trump has inaccurate information, it's another clue. He's the Sudoku meets Wordle meets Where's Waldo of presidents. He just likes to be real obtuse and throw in there a bunch of clues that don't make sense, but if you put them together, they make less sense.
That's the secret.